you have to have that grit. You have to have that like a variable that's different than everyone else's.
Welcome to the Michigan Real Estate Investor Network podcast, #the network. This is episode 1, brought to you by Haise Electric.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Michigan Real Estate Investor Network podcast roundtable. And today I have Shipp with us, and I have Nate again, and I have Cam. So do you want to go around and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing in real estate investing?
Okay, everybody, how you doing today? My name's Shipp. Like we talked about before, I'm doing a lot of hoteling now, and I do some wholesaling in the middle of a flip, which I hope to get out of here pretty soon. I do a lot of work in Detroit, a lot of different stuff, selling houses to out-of-state investors, out-of-country investors. And basically, I'm really working Detroit pretty hard right now.
Awesome.
I'm Nate Guinane. I do residential buy and holds and residential flips. I mainly am trying to get a lot of rental units. I want 100. I got 19 right now. So I'm trying to build that up. But I do flips. Right now I don't have any active. I sold my last one in January. But I've probably done 50. Just right now I'm really picky on those.
Hey everyone, my name is Cam. I'm new to the game. I just bought my first property December of 2018. So just trying to understand the game, buy more properties, and have more rental units.
Got it. So you actually have a very interesting way that you got here. So I know you worked with Winning Futures. So
Correct.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that is and who your mentor was and how it got started?
Yeah. Back in 2011, I was part of a program called Winning Futures. It was a mentor-mentee program. And at the time, I was just kind of trying to understand like business, just trying to get my hands dirty, trying to know the game. So at the time I was like not sure what to do, and just more of so who is the point of contact? Because growing up I really didn't have like mentors or mentees. It was just more so just the family aspect of everything. So throughout my time in Winning Futures, I was paired with a mentor who was really in the game, who understood business, who understood real estate, and I was just like inspired by that. And it was so once throughout my Winning Futures time, it was how do I implement these daily habits in my lifestyle. So Winning Futures was a great like learning experience. I'm still close with everyone and all the mentees, multiple mentors, and hopefully once I become a little bit more successful, I want to be a mentor for mentees who that want to also dabble with business, real estate, technology, and a variety of other things.
So what are you doing? I know you got the one that
yes.
you just bought, but how did you get there?
So before that, I worked for my mentor. He was in the scene hard. So I was just there next to him trying to figure out like how does he do things. And I was kind of just shadowing with like-minded individuals, going to the RIAs at 19, 20 years old, just like, okay, whatever, this is just another day for me. But actually seeing people who are successful at this was just inspiring. Different RIAs, whether it's the Macomb or the Oakland County RIAs, just like the marketing aspects of things. Like you don't want to be like everyone else. You have to have that grit. You have to have that like a variable that's different than everyone else's. And that's pretty much what I learned from my mentor. My mentor was also in not just the real estate aspect, but just business. Like if I can make a quick penny on something, I'm going to get my hands dirty on that. I want to figure it out. And that's something that I learned from my time with my mentor.
So with the Winning Futures, is it just for entrepreneurship? Or?
No, it's with whatever you like. There's a mentor out there that's in everything. If you're into fashion, you'll find a mentor that's into fashion. If you're into technology, you'll find someone that's in that lane. So it's pairing one mentor up with multiple mentees who, maybe I could get value out of this, and that's where it worked out for me.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. So what do you think about that, Jeff?
Actually, what he's saying is great because so many young kids nowadays really, they kind of are struggling which
Sure.
paths they're going to take in life. In a situation like you went through, like that winning futures and that, and they help you with the mentors, they kind of steer you. I think that's great. I think that's a great thing that you did. I hope more kids get into that kind of stuff. Right. I think it'll really take them somewhere because not every kid is meant to go to college. Not every kid or every person is meant to be an entrepreneur. You got to figure out your little lane, your little niche, and I think what you did is perfect. I mean, it sounds like it really helped you.
Right. And another thing is, like, at that age, I feel like we're all being molded. So since I was lucky enough to find a mentor who was able to mold me into being a successful businessman, successful thinker, someone to actually help me have grit in my system, that's where it really comes from. Because not everyone has, like you said, not everyone wants to go to college. Not everyone can afford to go to college. But however, not everyone that goes to college becomes successful either. So this is programs like this really does help everyone, the mentor as well as the mentee. So it's a two-way street, and I'm sure my mentor learned a lot from me, as well as the multiple mentees learned a lot from the mentor.
Yeah, I know you started when you were really young, Nate. So it's
no, that sounds awesome. I wasn't exposed to that, but I'm sure it was great because even like I was lucky enough. My dad, he worked at Chrysler for like 30 years, but he did real estate before. He had his own business. He still has his own business. Guy works like 100 hours a week, but I was exposed to business really young. A lot of people aren't, but even that, like, if I was exposed to that, you're exposed to different kinds of business entrepreneurs, I'm sure. That sounds great. Like I said, I was just lucky enough that I was exposed to it within my own household.
Yeah. And how about your support system?
Oh, support was great. Where my father was into real estate as well, but it was just within his own means. Just an immigrant family coming into America trying to figure it out. So my dad had 2 properties in Hamtramck, rented them out, made good money, and then I just kind of saw, okay, this is how you're doing it in a cultural aspect, but there's actually a better and more innovative way, and let's try to bridge the two. Let's try to figure out, okay, these 2 properties, we could probably buy 2, 3 more, but let's not stay comfortable. And that's where I could learn what I learned from at home, and then take what I'm learning in school or in the real life and try to bridge those 2 together. And that's why I think it worked out well for me.
So with your first place now, what's your next step? What are your new plans?
My next step would be like multi-units. I want to get my hands.
There we go.
Just talking to him, it was just like, wow, like, okay, there's opportunities out there. And also I want to get involved in Detroit.
And Jeff, that's a winner for you.
Yeah,
right?
so like
I talk Detroit all day.
Because like I grew up in like Detroit, like Hamtramck area, so it's like I know the neighborhood good enough. Like I went to school, Detroit Public Schools. I went to Wayne State University, so it's like I have a strong attachment, like tight attachment to that area. So I do want to get involved in multi-units as well as Detroit one day. So that's like my next step.
Yeah, I mean the returns are great in Detroit,
right.
and you have one down there, Nate. So everybody knows the returns are great in Detroit, and it's coming back, as we all know, and we all see it. And you grew up down in that area, so you really got to see it.
And I'm also working in downtown Detroit, so it's just like I'm seeing it from my internship times as well as to now, like how the resurgence, the vibes are completely different. Yeah. So and why not be a part of it?
There you go.
Why not try to make a change? And there's like-minded thinkers out there, like there's students out there that want to get involved, but it's just kind of how do we do it? So how do we do it is there's multiple ways to get in there. You could go a podcast like this, reading books, and then if you don't want to do that, there's also technology. I think social media is like a game changer, and also like Reddits and Facebook, Instagram, Slack. I think that's like not utilized enough for entrepreneurs as well as real estate.
So true. Now, do you see more and more young people getting involved more? I mean, what is your feeling about the young people getting more involved with bringing the city of Detroit back? And Do you think they're going to really get behind it, or is it still going to be a little bit of an older crowd pushing? What are your feelings on that?
I think it's gonna take a while for the younger crowd to get in, because we're affected by a lot of student debt. If just to get involved and just being scared, like what could the outcome be?
Yeah.
At first I really wasn't sure of what to expect when I got into real estate. Personally thinking, like, if I didn't have my mentor and had these type of questions, I probably would never buy a house. I would never have bought my first house, 100%. But I know what to expect. I see that, okay, if I went this route, then I could expect this. And a lot of kids my age, or maybe younger or older, they don't want to get involved in that because that's not their lane. They were never exposed to it. And if they were, congratulations, that's great. But just the majority of people that I come across is just like, that's good, congratulations. However, we don't know where to go. And luckily, which is kind of crazy because we live in the smartest generation. We have Google. We could Google like real estate networking shops.
We didn't have Google.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So this is something that we should utilize more with these type of podcasts, this type of environments. So I hope more people get involved, because it'll take a village of people to really raise a child. So it's like, imagine raising Detroit, or trying to have generational wealth. That's kind of what I get out of it.
Yeah, well, things have definitely changed. So, I mean, social media is definitely an avenue for people, and for a lot of times it's free, so, and you can reach, how many people I find that I have to track down for title stuff on Facebook. I mean, it's
and they're always online.
It's a resource.
Yeah,
you have a lot of cool resources now. Versus, when I started, there really wasn't. It was going to the RIAs, or you pay thousands of dollars for a guru seminar. But I went to college and did not end up doing anything that I thought. I got stuck into title when I was 18, and then I never looked back. So, my college degree didn't do a whole lot for me. But I can also tell you that I was charging money for people to come in my clubhouse when I was 7. So, I mean, it was just kind of in my blood.
It was exactly. A hustler from a young age.
Yeah, you got to. But it really is. It's a mindset. It's a frame of mind. You have to know that you want it. You were just telling us, I mean, you had stuff on your walls. I mean, it got you in the zone every day to get out there and do what you need to do, because it's not an easy thing.
No, it's not. Yeah, like I said, I recommend anyone do that. And look at it every day before you go to bed, when you wake up. It just puts you in a crazy mindset, and you don't think about it. Like, I'll walk down the street and somehow just bump into somebody like him and talk to him. If I wasn't putting that on the wall, I'd never know that he's a wholesale. But with doing what I did, I had crazy experiences happen that if I told you, like, that's not real. But it was, and it's just because in the back of my head, subconsciously, that's all I'm thinking about. Is like, how can I further this? How can I make this successful?
Well, in talking about it, it's amazing the people that you run into.
Yeah.
I just got back from a conference with my Uber driver. I get in and we start talking. He asked me why I was in town. I told him for a title conference. Come to find out, he owns 7 properties in Orlando, and he's like, here's my card. You want to invest in Orlando? Come back and see me. I'll drive you around. I mean, so you don't know who you're going to meet or when, or, what form they're going to take. It might be your next Uber driver, might be your private money guy,
And you just have to extend that hand. Yeah. And it's just like, have that conversation. If you're passionate about it, you're going to talk about it. And maybe the other person's passionate about it at the same time. You won't know until you have that first conversation.
Sure.
Yeah.
You ever find when you're like sitting in a restaurant and you'll hear something, because now you're into it, your ear perks up. Yeah. It's like, they're talking real estate. What are they talking about? Let me get in on that conversation. You don't even know them, and next thing you know, you're jabbing away with them about real estate. And like you said, you never know. I met a stager that way. She was actually my waitress, and she was talking to the next table about real estate, and I asked her, really, you into real estate? What are you doing? And she told me, I do staging. My daughter and I do staging. It's like, okay. Would have never thought of it looking at her. Would have never thought of it. And I'm like, okay. And it's just, you just kind of pick up on stuff when you're aware.
Yeah, like tunes in.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Like for example, I threw, probably like my 3rd year in, I threw on my wall that I wanted one more investor for like $150,000. Within like 2.5 months, some guy just messaged me on Bigger Pockets, and basically that's how much he had. It was nuts. And like what the heck is that? I'm not like a super active guy on Bigger Pockets, you know. And it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Like it just put me out there, and it was just that stuff like that happens all the time. I throw it on the wall and it'll just like appear, like there it is.
You put it out to the universe and it gets
comes right
returned.
back.
It does.
Yeah.
So, Nate, what were you going to college for? Like, I was going into forensics, which obviously in title I am no longer in.
Yeah, so my mom's actually a school teacher. She just retired a couple of years ago. She went back to teach, but so I was going to college more for her. My whole life I knew I wanted to be a business owner. So I was going to Macomb College, finance and economics. Funny thing, I actually did my 2 years, so I should have an associate's, but I never applied to get my. I'm dumb. I should have just applied. Like all I need to do is apply and then send me it. But so I don't think I technically have my associates, but I did all the credits, passed everything. But yeah, and that's the thing. My second year, I got really busy in real estate, so I wanted to drop out anyway. But I was in a business class, and I think it was an entrepreneur class, something about starting a business. And we were doing these business plans, and we were supposed to like act like we're starting this business. So I was doing it, and I asked the teacher, I was like, hey, this business here I think needs like 30 grand. I don't have 30 grand. So how am I supposed to get $30,000?
Yeah.
And she was a great teacher, but to her, like, so that's to her credit. But she told the class, like, this was a class question. She said, well, you know, just get a good job and save up. In my head, I'm like, I'm not going to work somewhere stupid for 10 years. Like, I'm at a car wash. I was, not now. I'm not going to wait there for 10 years and save 30 grand to do this that might flop. Like, to me, it didn't make sense. And I was reading books, so I was like, all right, well, I'm done with college because this business degree, I was going to have to transfer to a university. It's going to start costing a lot of money. And not that she was useless, but for what I was trying to do, it was absolutely useless knowledge. That was an entrepreneur class, and you just told me to work for 10, 15 years just to get to 30. You know, like that was crazy. And like, you know, there's a lot of ways you can get money without doing that.
Well, and you've got a magic wall, so you put $30,000 on there, and it's going to appear.
Fuck it out.
Build one of these walls I got. Yeah.
So, and what were you going to school for, or what are you going to school for?
So, I went to Macomb Community College. I now I have my bachelor from Wayne State University with information system management. So I'm in the IT sector. So, but before that,
we'll have to talk later.
Yeah, for sure, we'll talk. But prior to that, I was very interested in marketing, just similar in accounting, and that was like something I wanted to get into. But it was just like, okay, but I realized the game was changing. Everything was changing. Like there's marketing, there's also digital marketing. So how do I get my hands dirty on digital marketing? Then there's AdWords and just a bunch of other things that fall into play. So that's what I went into, and that was honestly one of the best decisions I made. It was opened up so many doors for me. Like just now I can have conversations with different types of people. Like, okay, we know that Instagram or Facebook is one of the leading, resources for business. So okay, how can I get my business out there? So and then I started digging up more on YouTube, on Facebook, and Instagram, and it's just like, wow, you could get so much analytics from here. And then if you could dump that into a database and then kind of, okay, let's query out what's important to you. And that's kind of the lane that I took for my college years. And college was great, but it's more so like a traditional way. Like if I wanted 30K, the same thing. Hey, go get a job and save for that 30K. But why would I waste this much time just to work when I could maybe find a private investor? But that's not something we were taught. Like I was never told like, hey, you could find a private investor until I started working with my mentor. I thought that was out of like, when I heard of a private investor, I was like, what is it? I don't trust you. You trust me? Like, how do you trust me? You don't even know me. So then that's something I had to learn out there out in the streets and working with different types of people. And that was kind of, out of the box thinking that you really don't get from college.
Yeah. And I don't know if you overheard when Nate was talking about private money. I mean, totally. He's got more than he can use at the moment.
Yeah,
I mean, so it's out there.
Right, exactly. People have a lot. Like, that's good. There's money out there that they want their money to make more money, of course.
Well, in traditional sense, you put your money in a bank and it's never going to grow like that.
Right, exactly.
And your 401k plan, it's never going to grow like that. So there are so many resources. And it's nice that you had a mentor that I wish I had someone that would have told me that way back when. I mean, because I pulled equity out of my house. You found a way to find it without asking for it, because being told no, or it's not your primary, or your income isn't but they're not taking into consideration you're going to be getting a return. So it's difficult to go the traditional route. So that's a very important part of the networking. It sounds like that's an important part from your mentor that you picked
Correct,
up on. I mean, that's a really good nugget to know and to have, because I didn't do that. What about you? No?
I did the go get a job and you'll be okay.
Right,
I worked
right.
33 years and finally got to retire. But I think it's great to see, young guys like yourselves that figure out there is options. You don't have to go to work to fulfill somebody else's dreams, right?
Right.
Because that's really what you do when you go to work for somebody. That's what I did. I went, I didn't go to college. I come right out of high school and went to the factories, what a lot of us at my age and stuff and older did. And so, but, the younger generation, a lot of you guys, and I think it is due to the social media and the internet. It sure isn't to do with TV, but they show you that there's options for you guys now. You don't have to go work for somebody else and fulfill their dream. Hey, I can make my dream come true. And that's what it sounds like you guys, two young guys, you figured out early, which, bless you for that. Instead of going the other route, then chasing your dreams when you get older, you can chase your dreams now and live the lifestyle. I mean, you're doing this full time.
Yep. Yeah. Full time.
So, that's a big thing. And you're working somewhere else right
Correct,
now,
yes.
but you're trying to get out of that, I'm
Right,
presuming.
100%, yes.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
Be my own boss right now. Like, just try to work while I can, and then eventually have what what everyone here has, just multiple units, something that you're passionate about, and that's the ultimate goal. If that's 5 years, then I have to write that down, put it on my magic wall, and kind of it'll happen. If you have the mindset, if you want it, it'll come. Like,
yeah.
You just
We all got to get an 8 wall. That's
Yeah.
for sure. We got to get an 8 wall. That's for dang sure.
Both you guys mentioned about the internet, and so did you. But the crazy thing about now is that the internet. Well, when you were growing up, if you wanted to figure out real estate, you had to go out and find someone successful in real estate. That's a hard thing to do. I didn't. I mean.
Well, they don't want to train their competition.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
know?
But you'd have to randomly run into someone, then you'd have to convince them to teach you. Today, I mean, you could be broke, you could be homeless, and go walk into a library, use their internet, and go on Bigger Pockets and find out anything you need to know. So there's today, there's almost no excuse. If you want it bad enough, you'll be successful. You can figure out anything you want. You can probably build that car on the wall over there. Look it up, figure out all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you can nowadays.
Yeah, which is nuts. If you think about it, I mean, we were born with that almost. But even older people, you can
get on it. Yeah. I mean, I can almost work Google pretty good. Okay.
Right. Yeah. No.
You can just do whatever you want these days, and it's a great thing to take advantage of for sure.
I was great at it when it was dial up. I was
You remember
I was
that?
good. Yeah, I was good.
These guys have no idea.
Can't talk on the phone and search the net at the same time.
Yeah. My kids, I looked at my phone and
Right.
we were laughing because they were watching a movie and there was a big old cell phone on it. And they were all like, where's the apps? How do you get apps on that? It's like, oh dear, no, it's not how it works anymore.
No.
But
Way different.
even the girls that I train here, and they're like, just use Google. And it's funny because, I come from fax machines and hand couriers and everything's a check and there's no wires and there was no Google. There was no email at that time.
No.
It was.
But I think it's
different
great,
times.
though, because what you guys can be exposed to and what we all can now, it changes that learning curve drastically. Yeah. Like you said, you can find out everything without trying to get somebody. Because, and to what Erika said, it's a shame. Most people have that scarcity mindset. Oh, I can't teach them because they're, my competition. That's total hogwash, first of all. If we were all multimillionaires, we couldn't buy all the deals out there. It's a lie people put in their heads, you know what I'm saying? But with the internet, that helps loosen that up, I think. Because you can train yourself. Yeah, there's no excuse not to.
Yeah, 100%. And you can, even if you train yourself, you can put yourself in touch with guys like you. I can meet you. I can meet you. I can meet you. You throw yourself out there, and everyone will see it, and then they'll reach out. And
True.
Everybody helps each other one way. And I always try to help people wherever I can, but I always feel like I don't help people, and not like other people I run into give me so much stuff, without probably even realizing it. But that's how I'm successful. I try to give as much as I can, but I always feel like everyone's throwing stuff at me all the time.
Well, and it comes back. It comes back in
it's a full circle.
tenfold. It comes back to you if you give.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Cam, so I know you got your first one. So are you going to continue to look at this and do more rentals? Or are you thinking wholesaling or?
Yeah, I do want to get more rentals. I'm 3 months into it right now. And so far, knock on wood, everything is, what I expected. So everything is great so far, but I'm waiting for it to struggle. I'm waiting to struggle a little bit, to be honest with you. I want something to break down so I can go in there and try to figure it out. Go to a Home Depot and like Google like, okay, what is it? What is this? Because
it's exciting the first time. After that, you might get
it's like I
tired,
kind of
but-
want some like issues to come up. Truthfully speaking,
Yeah.
I want to know like, okay, if this goes down, what to expect? Because right now I'm, like it's going well, but I do want to get more houses. But this house was kind of out of the box ready. I want to buy something that has issues, like problems, like something's broken. Go in there, try to fix it, or like, hey, reach out to someone that knows how to fix it, and that, again, then build that like core community within my team. And then this is okay. Now I have a plumber. I have a guy for electrician. Currently, I don't have any of that. It's just me and if I talk to my dad, like, hey, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Like, if my dad doesn't have the answer, I go to Google and like try to ask these questions on Reddit. So this is I do want to buy more houses. I put a goal down, so every like Saturday I want to look at 2 new houses, and that's something I want to do like not this month, but starting next month when I have a little bit more free time and the weather gets a little better. So then I'm more comfortable in the game. Now I know what to expect. And then because right now every house looks the same. I even though that's not the case, but to me everything looks the same. So I want to know if I get out there and look at more houses, I'll know the differences. Okay, this wall something's wrong with it. The furnace looks off. Like this is, I didn't see this in my other house that I saw last week. So what's the difference? Like, let me check out both these houses again and try to analyze, look at it, and then, okay, then which one's broken, which one's right. So that's those are personal goals for myself. So hopefully by the fall time, I have 2 more properties.
Are you having any struggles or any questions that when you got 2 guys
No,
here at your full
100%.
disposal
It was
that are eager to help?
Yeah, it was just more so, okay, in the investing side, I'm looking for an investor. Before I even buy this house, I need money. So how do you know, who do you trust? How do you know which money is the right money to take? Because whoever has money, they want to invest in it. But okay, for someone like myself, what do I take from them? Like, what should I give them as collateral?
Yeah, you're saying like, what should you offer them?
Yeah, what should I offer them, if anything?
So what's crazy is private investors, you can do anything.
Right,
I mean,
right.
someone could agree to give 1% on their money, and
Right,
that's nuts. But I shoot for like 7 to 9% a year, and at first, when I first started, I thought that was really low. But if you think about it, and now I look into all kinds of stuff. If you think about it, like say, you work wherever you work, and you got like a 401k basically. It's hopefully earning like 4%. Financial managers will say, I want to get you 4 to 6%, 3 to 5. Total guess. They have no idea. Yeah. So like when I walk up to somebody, if you ask me, like say, hey, now people come up to me, so I don't search. They'll walk up to me and say, hey, I got $50,000. Well, what should I do? And I'll tell them, I'll say, I can buy a house like this, and I'll give them an example property. So I'll say, for example, I'll buy a $50,000 house for a rental, and say it'll rent for $1,000. I'm gonna buy this $50,000 house for $1,000 rent a month. You give me your money, I'll give you 8% a year, and I'll pay you monthly, all interest. So whatever that equates to. To them, I'm not saying you might get 4%, you might get 8%. I'm saying you will get 8%. You'll get it every single month. You'll have the lien on the house, which your title company. So first mortgage is what it's really called. I think I use a private purchase mortgage or something. I don't know the legal name of that. But anyway, I leave it up to my title company.
Sure.
So they place the mortgage on the house, and I give them a promissory note, and it all coincides. So you give me $50,000, you got title to this house. I might rehab it a little bit, put this tenant in, and pay your interest every single month. So to a guy that's working at say Chrysler, and he's making whatever he is, his retirement's doing nothing. So if I'm giving him 8% a year, and it's not guaranteed, you're not even allowed to say that, but it is. Like, if I don't pay you, you're going to take my house from me that I might have put $10,000 into. I'm not going to let that happen. So it's like very secure. People understand real estate. Yeah. So when I started, like I said, I thought it was a lot harder to raise money than it really is. There's money everywhere. Like a normal guy making $30,000 to $40,000 a year, if they've been working for 10 years, they usually have a 401k with like $50,000 and $80,000. That can be self-directed. Older people have money laying around that people eat their savings. That's what I call it. So most people try to retire by the age of like 62, and they're hoping they have $1.5 million. It sounds like a lot, but they're planning, if they live 25 years, they'll have eaten all of that because their interest is less than what they're living on. I talked to a guy at Home Depot when I first started. He retired 2 years later, but I was talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I'm saving for retirement. And somehow he told me what he had. He's like, I got like $2 million saved up. And I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of money. And he goes, no, really, if you think about it, I projected blah, blah, blah. He's like, if I live to be 90 on $2 million, I'll be broke from 85 to 90. He's like, I need whatever, 2.5 or whatever he said. To me, that was crazy. This guy was eating everything. Like, make 6% and live off that. And he wasn't doing it. He was projecting a 1% return or something crazy. So, like that guy, I was early in my thing. I didn't ask him. But, like, if I met him now, he might say, hey, I invest $100,000. And then, if you're returning them 8% a year, he'll be like, here's another 100, here's 50, here's, people just start throwing money at you. Like, I stopped searching outright. Like, I don't approach people. They kind of just approach me. Or it comes up at a party, Well,
that's a good problem.
It does.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
it does.
it is.
It comes to you. And
That's good.
think outside the box.
Sure.
Don't think, just how can I get private money? I do a lot of deals with people. Well, we'll do 50-50. They put up the money.
Yep.
Like I do a lot of hoteling now. They'll put up the money totally. I'll find the deal. They'll put up the money. I'll sell it because I got the buyers. And we split 50-50, and you can make money that way. But I've also had people approaching me want to do that on rentals because they don't know it. They're scared. They don't want to deal with it.
Yep.
Hey, I'll put it all up. You get the property. You rehab it if you need it rehab. You get a tenant in. You watch it. I'll put the money up. We'll do 50-50. I mean, think outside the box, too. It ain't all about, I've got to find this guy to loan the money.
No,
You can get out there. There's a lot of different ways to make it.
Yeah, and so like I still call that private money, but the way you do it, you can be as creative as you want. You can give a guy like that guy, he gets 50% equity in a deal, doesn't have to do any work.
Right.
He's running it. He's got his trust or whatever. And even to begin with, you can say, I need $50,000 for this project, but if you give me 30, I'll put in 20 if you have any. And then that way it's a huge buffer. You gain a relationship. He still has a mortgage with a $20,000 buffer and hopefully some equity above that. And it just becomes like a no-brainer. He's like, all right, well, I trust you now because you put $20,000 on top of my 30. You do that deal good. Next time he'll fund the whole thing for you.
Yeah.
And then everyone comes back with more money.
Oh,
so
yeah.
people start with $30,000. Next time they'll be like, I got 80 now. I got 100.
Yeah, they open up the bank account.
Yeah.
They open up the wallets like, I got more money.
Yeah. Like if
Yeah.
someone
More?
gives you 50, that's not all they have.
Right,
They're
right.
on the first deal. They always got something on. So.
Yeah.
Like, how about, sorry, if you had a question.
Go
So
ahead.
how about looking at certain neighborhoods? I understand, like, okay, there's neighborhoods like Royal Oak, Ferndale, that's always going to be great. There's parts of Detroit that's always going to be good. But, okay, what about neighborhoods that are in the outskirts of those areas? Do you think those would be areas to maybe look into?
Yeah. Well, and what you want to do, let's concentrate on somewhere like Detroit or
Sure.
Warren or something like that that's coming back. We're both familiar with Warren and that.
Right.
In Detroit, what you want to look at is areas that you can see development coming, where they are putting money. A guy told me a while back, and I thought about it, and it was like, ding, ding, why didn't you think? Where are the grocery stores going in, like Detroit? Where are they putting the Myers at? Where are the Home Depots moving?
Mm-hmm.
They've got huge money. They know what's going to happen. They're not putting a Myers there. They're not spending, hundreds of millions or whatever it costs to get a Myers running, knowing that the people aren't going to be there.
Sure. No.
So look at some of that and look at where the development's coming. And Detroit is block to block, so you need to be careful. Drive it, get to know it. I mean, I've made myself personal maps with color-coded, literally down the streets, down the block,
Like good
where
and
to
bad.
buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to.
Right.
And that's what you want to really look at. Make sure if there's 10 houses on the street, 7 or 8 of them are occupied. Don't go in there where there's 50 of them burn out and try to buy in there thinking, you're going to change the world, because it might not happen.
Right.
In Warren, like he knows, they're coming back around. Just look, where's the development going? Where do you see the dumpsters? If you see dumpsters outside of houses, action's happening. You see vans parked out and workers, okay, this
Something's
is
going
happening.
on,
This
right.
area is coming around. Just keep your eyes out, and you can really get in there and get in when it starts getting going, so you can make part of it. And that's really what you need to look for.
Okay. No, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to give him as some nuggets to help?
Yes, it's the same topic. Like, for instance, like Warren's doing that. I don't even know what they're calling it. They're putting like $5 million in right on Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Oh, the downtown?
Yeah, they're putting not
Right
even
by
down-
8 Mile.
Not even
Oh.
downtown. Yeah, so they're doing that, which is nuts. I don't even know all the details. That's by like their city hall. But no, on Van Dyke, right by 9 Mile, they're putting in a little police station, a park, a library.
yeah.
But it's a $5 million project, and they're doing it because South Warren has been saying they've been ignored, and they really have. So, but if a city's gonna put $5 million there, like, where's like no one's gonna live there? Then people moving out, So to me, if you can buy it for today's prices, a great deal. All right, because people are probably gonna move here. The city's probably gonna follow up with some more money, and businesses will move in, and they'll probably offer tax rebates. There's programs that you can follow. On that strip on Van Dyke, they offer business owners basically free money to develop businesses, drop in there. To me, like, you look at all that, the cities are getting behind certain areas. And I like South Warren because it's one of the few places you can get a $50,000 house.
Yeah.
Like if you're a first-time home buyer right now, well, I'm not saying they're buying there, but a first-time home buyer with a $120,000 budget, where can they buy a house?
Nowhere. It's hard.
Nowhere.
It's hard. Yeah.
It's hard. Like, all my friends, they wish they bought a house 4 or 5 years ago when they could have got $80,000 house in St. Clair Shores. Today, they can't buy a house there. I look at that, and then Detroit is totally different than any city I've ever seen in any country. So you got to be a little, but yeah, same thing. You follow like he said, Myers. Like, how much millions of dollars they're putting in their research to pick that spot. There's no way they're going to be wrong. And the city's giving them all kinds of stuff, and they're then backpacking on that area, and it'll be a great area. Yeah, and banks too. I mean, if you find a neighborhood that has some banks in it, it's better.
Yeah, the security.
Yeah. So that was one of my signs. If I can find a bank within a half a mile of somewhere, I know it's worth me looking at because they're there. Banks left all of Detroit a while ago.
Yeah. That's a very cool tidbit. Back. Yeah.
That's
what I did. I bought 2 duplexes actually in Mexican Town 2 years ago. I pulled up there with my realtor, who's a great guy. I've used him a bunch, but he got out and he's like, Nate, where do you have me going? Because there's like graffiti and whatever. And it used to be a dangerous part of town. And I was like, I did my research. It's cool. And I bought these things. They're worth like 5 times what I bought them for. And but there was a State Farm a block over. There was a credit union a block over, 2 blocks that way. There was Bank of America or something. And all this money too. There's city projects. City made it a 5-minute walk area. So, 2 years ago it was a no-brainer. Like, and stuff doubled basically. It's crazy. And then look at gross. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get into these details. Now I do, but back then I didn't look at like median incomes. But that area, the year before I bought, the median income of a family was like $18,000. The next year it came out after I bought, I actually looked at them and it doubled. It went to $38,000. So it went from 18 to 38. I blindly got lucky on that, but I was basing on all this other stuff. But you can look at that. You can say, oh, crap, these just doubled. So that means these people can pay more money. It also means like better jobs have come, different clientele maybe. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. You can also just backpack off the billion-dollar companies that are throwing money at everything. Sure.
Yeah, well, that's seeable.
Yeah.
You can actually drive down the road and see it. Yeah. The bank, I love that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love the bank one.
Yeah.
Think of that one. Love it.
Bank. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw that in my repertoire. I'm gonna get that. Like, oh yeah, there's a bank.
Just because they actually move kind of frequently, and I know years, like not years, but like 6 years ago, a lot of neighborhoods didn't have a bank anywhere.
No.
So the few neighborhoods that do, and now they're coming back everywhere. But still, that neighborhood's coming back. So I look for a lot of strange stuff. And I'm kind of new to Detroit, by the way. Sure. I own 3 duplexes in Detroit, and I've done 1 flip and some other stuff. But if I've done 70 transactions, I just named only 5 to Detroit, and it was in the last 2 years. I was looking at it a long time before that, but I didn't want to put any of my private money in jeopardy because Detroit is like its own monster. But I love it. I would buy stuff there all day long in any of the areas I look at. So
I have another question that I kind of wrote down prior to to come in.
This is great.
So since the employment rate is so low right now, so if the employment rate has affected market prices, like you guys are I would consider like the experts. So has employment rate affected market prices drastically, or is it just kind of like what is expected?
Yeah, you're saying because the unemployment rate's so
low?
Yeah,
so low right now.
Yeah. I think it has for sure. I mean, especially if you're talking about Detroit. Like the crazy thing with Detroit is, 8 years ago, Dan Gilbert came and did all this nut stuff, brought in these companies. They're offering incentives. They're still offering incentives to their people. But like that, you could have backpacked off that. But yeah, so the unemployment, the city of Detroit, I don't know the stats, but 7 years ago, if you looked at just people living in Detroit, the unemployment rate was crazy. Right. But half of that was there actually were some jobs in downtown, but no one wanted to live there. So these guys brought these people in who actually worked there. So the unemployment rate dropped in that city. So if you find those neighborhoods, because people have jobs, they can pay more. You can offer a better product and you can raise your rates basically.
Sure.
So I think the unemployment rate is huge.
Yeah, it is.
But you have to go location by location. Like if Macomb County, for example,
if their unemployment rate dropped to 2%, you can still go to a city that might be at 10. You know, so you gotta look at that. Like I bought that 4-unit in Port Huron. I think their vacant house rate is like 13%. That means 13% of all houses are vacant, which is really high. But if you buy it in a pocket, my pocket doesn't have any vacants. So where I bought that, you know, so then you got to, especially Detroit. And
then it's all about analytics.
Yeah.
Where's the pocket?
Yep.
You know, and that's very crucial. You know, you want to stay in the pocket where it is going to be some employment.
And hopefully improvement to that too.
Yeah, well, you know,
Catch it on the up.
raise everybody. You know, raise you.
Right, 100%.
Yeah.
It's like the Chrysler jobs. They announced that like 6,000 new people at their 3 plants.
Yeah.
1,500 of those jobs are going to South Warren in their truck plant, their re-outfit.
Yeah, right down the road. Yeah.
1,400, 1,500 jobs, and they got the other 5,000 jobs between the FCA plant off in Jefferson Chalmers, and I don't know exactly where the other one's at, but you know, you buy a house 2 blocks over from that, there's 3,000 jobs coming, make it nice. Someone's gonna live there. You know, you got factory
Yeah,
jobs.
because they're
hard workers.
they're hard workers. They got a paycheck coming every week.
But they're not like,
you know,
they're not superly high paid. There's well paid jobs.
But they
can
buy. If you're looking for a flip, they can eventually buy because they can get credit because their job, and they definitely can rent.
Yeah,
For sure.
Because of that, you know, and that's one of them other things what you're really looking for, and you know, like you're saying, the unemployment rate, it'll drop, and them are better paying jobs, not as great as they once used to be, but they're still better paying than the average.
and it's dependable employment. That's the good thing.
Dependable.
You don't have some startup that, all right, the startup came with 100 jobs. Next year they're all out of business.
Right.
You got these guys dumping. They said like $50 million or something crazy.
Huge, yeah.
So they're not gone tomorrow. You
Yeah, they're going to recoup their money.
Oh yeah. That's one way or another. They're
So you can bank on all of that.
I've been to 3 conferences in the last month, and there was an economist at each and every one of them. And they all came back, and they were showing the unemployment rate. They were showing sales of homes. They were looking at how many cars are being produced and what types of vehicles were being produced, and they were putting it all together. And they're projecting that we may dip a little bit, but not like the crash that we had. But, I mean, it's fairly stable. You're going to have some little ups and downs is what they're predicting, but nothing drastic. So, you know, it's still a safe place for a while.
And I'm not like an economist, but that's my favorite. I love to talk, like reading about the economy, so I know a bit. But yeah, even if it drops, it's a normal business cycle. We're actually in like an abnormal market. We've had 10 years up. It's pretty long, like bull run, so people do think it'll drop. But
for sure.
Just don't overpay. You know, if you know your rent's,
There you go.
If you know your rent's $900 and you're buying a rental, don't buy it for $200,000. Buy it for something that is safe enough that if you do take a hit, you can still pay that mortgage if that's how you're financing it.
Yeah, I look at a lot of times when I'm looking at like a property that, you know, I'll sell to a renter or something like that, to a landlord. I try to make sure there is, if it does drop, if he has to drop his rent, there's still room there.
Yeah.
You know, if you're buying a rental and you're only making, you know, $50 a month and the economy drops and you can't rent it, so you got to drop your rent to get it rented, you could lose money.
Every month.
You know, every month, you know, so I always take a buffer there to make sure that, you know, if I'm selling it to somebody, because I want to sell them a whole bunch of properties. I don't want to sell them one. Try to get it where there's a buffer.
So I know that you were passed a note. We had somebody asking us a question about Cam.
Yeah.
And so do you want to present that one?
Yeah. Okay, Cam. In 6 months, we're going to put you on the spot here. In 6 months, we want to do, we got to follow up with you. We're going to talk to you a lot more in between there and then. I'm sure you'll be back on. But in 6 months, we want to see, the note was talking about is Cam buying 2 new properties within 6 months.
God willing, it's going to happen.
We're going to hold you accountable.
We're going to hold you accountable.
Yeah,
that's
hold
part
you
of this
accountable.
group.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'll say what I did wrong if I didn't close on those deals.
There you go.
And those are learning lessons.
Yeah.
And then maybe I could come back to you guys and say, hey, this is what I tried to do. It didn't work. So what can I do? What's the strategy that I could take to make sure it happens for the next 6 months?
Well, and I know you have a mentor, but again,
no,
we're all people that you can reach out to during
100%.
that time.
I appreciate it.
That can certainly.
Yeah. And if you want it, you gotta make it happen. Like it'll happen.
There's somebody that says that.
Yeah, it's just like
one of those.
One of them people that say that all the
All
time.
the time,
Yeah. But you're so true. And this part of this group, what we've talked about with this group here is what we're trying to achieve big time is we want to turn this into almost, I hate to say the word, almost like a support group, a self-help support group and an educational type thing, because that's part of, we want you to come on and talk about your journey. Mm-hmm. How did I get there? What did I do wrong? Don't always give the fluff, it's $1 million, we're all happy and all that. No, you got slapped somewhere along the way. Talk about that too. And that's kind of, that's where we're trying to go with this whole thing that we're doing, is help people. Sure. It's all about giving back, like you were talking about. Give back, give back. Because when you give and give and give, you don't even realize it starts flowing your way, because people thrive off that, that positive energy that you can bring. And so we're going to hold you accountable.
Hold me accountable.
And we want to see what you do.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Another question is, okay, so we're in an age right now where technology, I'm a big tech guy. I like to talk about technology. So how can we implement tech and real estate at the same time? Is there a bridge that we could maybe have, like a funnel and just kind of like a pipeline where someone walks in, or you have all these users that want to buy a house or invest their money, and then kind of just go through a channel command without letting them go? So if they have bad credit, okay, let's kind of have that fixed.
Almost like one of those flow charts, like yes
like
and
a
no.
Get chart, exactly, like a get chart. Or you have a no. Okay, cool. We have an answer for that.
WebMD for real estate investing.
It's just like I think that's something that's I haven't seen it. Maybe you guys have, but like a pipeline from the beginning to end, where all let's say 20 of us right here in this room. Okay, we all want to buy a house. We all want to invest our money. We made it happen because of this pipeline.
Oh, I think that'd be fun to talk about.
That's something. I think that's something that's great. It'll be cool to talk about.
Well, you see a lot of little pieces of that, but I've never seen nobody, like you say, try to put it all into a flow chart. Like, okay, I got bad credit. Here's what you do to fix your credit.
Sure.
So if you want to, now a lot of real estate's done without credit, but if you want to do the BRRRR finance and refinance out your rentals later, you need that. So try to get a flow chart and get it. I think that's a phenomenal idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there you go. Yeah. Now you got something to do.
Well, because each type of investment is different. I mean, your exit strategy is different on every investment. Everything. So, I mean, the buy and holds or the fix and flips, or if you're going to wholesale or hotel, I mean, your exit strategy is different on every single one. So I was at a conference and I met somebody, and that's actually what he specializes in, is he helps people look at their investment properties, look at their portfolio, and what choices are best to make depending on the area, the location, your end goals, why you're buying it. And I mean, it's amazing how much there is to really know and how many different ways you can go with it. It's not just a one-stop shop where this is the way you go. And the majority of my investor clients are the most creative-minded, deal-structuring people that I have ever met. So they keep me on my toes, and there's not much I haven't seen. Mm-hmm. So it's nice that I can help them, or send them to somebody like you that might be able to partner on a deal, or do a some kind of a referral, or at least get them the resources that they need to get. So we were talking about accountability, and somebody wanted to know our 30-day goal. What is your number one, your one thing that you really want to get out of the next 30 days?
Are we going in order here?
You're going.
I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first. I have to think about this.
So my goal for 2019 was to get 100 rental units. Mm-hmm. I already came in with some, but like I said, I bought 7 already. I'm behind the 8 ball here. So in 6 months, I guess I would like to buy 50 units, no matter what that means. If it's a 16 unit, a 4 unit, 2 unit, 1, 50 single families. I don't want 50 single families, but.
And what about 30 days? What can we hold you to?
Oh, in 30 days. Yeah. So sorry, in 30 days, close on at least one more property. Like I said, close on a property. And I actually have a goal of every month meet more than that, but it's actually meeting 2 like useful people. So like if I network with 50 people, I actually meet 2 that add some sort of value to each other. And that's actually on my wall. So I got that in there. I got a bunch of little mini goals. So, but that's every single month I'm supposed to do that.
And that's your one thing for the next 30 days.
Yeah, that and close on a property. I'm supposed to buy a property every month. So that's the other one.
Yeah.
There you go.
Jeff, what do you got?
Yeah, whole bunch. But the one really, my 30-day goal right now is I want to do consistently 5 deals a month, every month. And if I can get to that 5 deals a month, then I can start doing what else I want to do. And that is the buy and hold. I'm going to move into that for long term, being a little bit longer tooth in the age, you know. I don't want to keep doing this forever and ever. But no, 5 deals a month. That's my big track right now, and that is the plan for the next 30 days, to keep hitting that, keep doing it, and just keep going and going.
Yeah. What do you got going for 30 days out?
Just wanted to look at 3 houses a week. That'll be a great starting point for myself. Someone that's early on, and then within 90 days close on a property, then 120 days close on maybe another one, and then reflect on those properties that I closed on. But 30 days from now, just in 30 days, I do want to see myself, okay, these are the notes that I took from all these houses in a neighborhood, a sec. Like this one, I want to be like a Wolf of Wall Street of a niche. Like if it's South Warren, okay, cool, South Warren, I want to be that guy. If it's Detroit, okay, let me dabble with Detroit, but I want to stay in Detroit. So that's kind of what, for someone that's new in the game, that's what I want. Like I want to know my area really well, and I think that's gonna just reading, talking to different people, being out there. Just not, okay, I'll Google it. Okay, Google is one thing, talking to you is one thing, but also experiencing it for myself. Yeah. I took a lot from this conversation. Okay, what's in this neighborhood? Is there a Meijer in this neighborhood? Are there banks? If there's not things that are beneficial for the community, then it might not be beneficial for myself. I'm not going to be able to build a Meijer or a grocery store. I'm just going to be able to buy the house. So in 30 days, go out there and actually do research on a neighborhood that I want to hopefully invest in.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, do you have your real estate license? Do either of you two have your real estate license?
Yeah, good question.
I actually just got mine.
You just got
yours? It's for myself.
Yeah,
it's for me. But yeah, I did. I just got it. And like I said, I actually have a realtor I've used since I started. I'll still use him, and I haven't fully told him I have my realtor's license, but I always tell him, I say, send me properties. Anything you send me, you'll buy. But I haven't bought anything through him since I got my realtor license. Like I have to disclose it, but anything he brings me, I'll buy it through him, and I'll let him sell it for me.
Sure.
You know,
How about you?
I do not have my realtor license. I just don't see myself having a purpose because I'm not on the MLS or all day, every day. But what I want to actually go out there, think strategically, think outside the box, and hopefully close on a deal that way, because I don't want to fight with him on the property because I'll probably lose because I'm not out there all day.
Yeah.
So I don't see myself being right now having any benefit with it. So I kind of just want to get out there and knock on doors, put myself in uncomfortable situations, and that's hopefully maybe one day I'll get a license. But
knocking on doors is great, by the way.
Yeah, it's something that I was told from one of my mentors back in the days. Go out there and just knock on doors.
Knock on doors. That's how they do it. I met a woman real estate agent in California, and she would knock on doors in the summertime in the neighborhood she wanted, and she'd do it during the day. And she had a flyer for mommies and mimosas, and she invited all the moms that were at home with their kids to a party, and she ended up getting like 4 listings out of it.
Oh wow!
So I mean, you can be creative.
You go. Creative, yeah. Thinking outside the box.
Mommies and mimosas. I don't know how well you'll do with that one, but you know, we can figure it out. Bros and beers.
Yeah, right?
That's something. Yeah, change that one up for sure for you. Now, what's your goals?
Mine is I have an electronic closing platform, and so we're trying to get up and get that going. We want to be on the forefront for closing. So I'm actually trying to figure out which one of my investors is willing to be my guinea pig and try out a cash deal right online. So you don't even have to come to the office. You can do it right from your home.
There you go.
As a buyer, we wouldn't even have to bother you with the notary. But on a cash deal, if you're the seller, we still have to have the deed signed and wet signed for recording purposes. But everything else can be done right from a tablet. So we've had it. We've been working on it. We figured out how to make all the signature lines tag correctly. So we are good. We're good to go. So I'm looking for that.
That's a time saver.
One
Power of automation.
Yeah. Just find that one right investor that will help us work through the glitches and make it work. So, because I'd like to get that rolled out probably within the next 60 to 90 days where we can offer that to everybody. Yeah. So that's mine. Well, any other questions that you had, or are we good?
No questions from this side.
Got it. Anything else?
No, not that I can think of.
Oh, awesome. I think this was a fun meeting.
Yeah, no, sorry, one thing. This was actually a great meeting. I learned a lot from each one of you guys. Appreciate reaching out to me, and hopefully in the future we could do a deal together.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome, and I'd like to follow your journey because I think that's That's really awesome. And if you don't mind us holding you accountable,
Hold me accountable, please.
I really want to
Like,
see what's going to happen.
that's
I'm
what I
very
want.
curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's got such great like spunk and gumption.
does. He's
you
ready
know,
to go.
like
Yeah,
he is.
yeah.
He's ready.
That's
like,
that used stuff.
He's totally like wound up, and I love it. It's nice to see the excitement. You know,
Yeah, he is.
because like from the people that have been doing it for a while, it's a lot of war stories, and you don't hear the great, awesome deals anymore. So it's really fun to find someone excited about investing that's working on it. So,
That's great.
I think that's going to wrap us up. So,
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
thanks, everybody.
Have a great day.
You've been listening to the Michigan Real Estate Investor Network podcast. We just call it the network. To subscribe to the show, go to www.michiganreinetwork.com, where you can have the show sent right to your inbox. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. If you'd like to be on a future show, there's a link on the site to submit your info. The network is 100% focused on the Michigan real estate investing community. Whether you're brand new or a grizzled vet, we want you to be a part and share the love.